After being brainwashed by her best friend, my wife divorced me under the relentless influence of her best friend. My wife finally divorced me. I became the scapegoat in her eyes. After exploring the dating scene, she realized that these men were only interested in casual flings with her. She deeply regretted her actions and begged me to take her back. She also discovered that her best friend was now pursuing me, which drove her to the brink of madness. "Honey, send me $20. I only have $3 and need to make it $23 to buy a pack of hard-shell cigarettes." After work, when I found myself out of cigarettes, I sent this WeChat message to my wife. A man in his 30s, unable to come up with $20, living such a pitiful life, what was the point? Transferring $20 seemed like an impossible task. I stared at the message my wife sent, completely stunned. At that moment, it felt as if my world had stopped. I stood there, frozen, my heart shattered into pieces, bleeding profusely. On the bustling and prosperous street, I felt utterly alone and cold. A belief I had held firmly in my heart suddenly crumbled. Trembling, I picked up my phone and started typing. My monthly salary is $16,000. The mortgage is $2,750. The child's various expenses are $2,000. Your father's diabetes medication and other expenses amount to about $2,000 per month, which I also cover. Plus, I give you $9,000 a month. Tell me, why am I living such a pathetic life? Let's get a divorce. From now on, we'll never see each other again. After typing, I sent it as quickly as possible. A sense of relief washed over me, a relief I hadn't felt in a long time. Just because I said one thing, she wanted a divorce. It took a long time for my wife to reply. I could sense her shock. Divorce? We must divorce. Haven't you wanted a divorce for a long time? You won't change your mind, will you? My best friend was right. A man who can't make money is indeed a loser. Lacking ability yet thinking he's made a great contribution. Fine, I'll grant your wish. Let's get a divorce. My heart felt a strange sense of calm, and I went straight to the print shop to draft a divorce agreement. My wife, Emily Watson, was my first love. She was charming, pure, and kind. I pursued her relentlessly, and we eventually got together. After marriage, we agreed that I would work hard to earn money while she took care of the home. I believe I fulfilled my part of the bargain. In a small county town, a salary of $16,000 wasn't exactly low. In the beginning, life was peaceful and beautiful. She even gave birth to a daughter, and our family was happy and complete. She was always saving money, dreaming of the day we could move into a bigger house. But when did she start to change? About a year ago, I guess. She met her now closest best friend, Sophia Clark. She started dressing up, wearing heavy makeup every day. She began buying designer perfumes and handbags. She started refusing to ride in my old second-hand car. She started arguing with me over trivial matters. She became harsh with our child, resorting to hitting and scolding at every turn. She started to despise my unkempt appearance and began to complain that I couldn't provide emotional value. She grew to hate the daily grind of life and started mentioning divorce at every opportunity. For the sake of our child, I chose to endure. However, today's $20 request completely extinguished the last bit of my perseverance. I had advised my wife to distance herself from Sophia. When someone speaks ill of your husband, they're not looking down on your husband but on you, I told her. But all I got in return was a slap and a scolding. Since then, I became increasingly silent until today, when it all finally exploded. Divorce, after all, it had come to this. Back home, my wife was at the vanity in the bedroom, putting on makeup. Our 7-year-old daughter was being well behaved, doing her homework in the study. I didn't disturb my daughter but went straight to my wife and handed her the divorce agreement. She smiled dismissively and picked it up. The house and the child are yours. All the cash savings are mine. Fine. This house still has more than 20 years of mortgage payments. It's not worth much. And as for my daughter, she would only be a burden to me. Okay, we'll do as you say, I replied. She signed the divorce agreement decisively. After signing, my wife gave me a contemptuous look. Thank you for finally letting go. My future is destined to be infinitely bright. I just hope you won't come crawling back to me on your knees, making me look down on you. I smiled, nodded, and didn't reply. That night she went out and never came back. I didn't care. After my daughter finished her homework, I made her a late-night snack, put her to bed, and then started to wash up. From that day on, my wife completely disappeared from my sight. No phone calls, no WeChat messages. Until a month later, when the divorce cooling-off period was over, she appeared at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Everything went smoothly. After we got our divorce certificates, we left as quickly as possible, heading towards our respective futures, both confident that we would be better off. I don't know if my ex-wife is doing well. Anyway, I'm better off. I asked my mother to come and help me take care of the child, giving her $3,000 a month. With a salary of $16,000, after paying the mortgage and giving my mother $3,000, I found that I couldn't spend it all. I smoke good cigarettes every day and started buying expensive clothes and shoes, and still there's a surplus every month. I plan to buy a nice car when I have more money. At this moment, I finally felt the taste of life and the meaning of making money. I realized how stupid I was before, needlessly supporting someone who took me for granted. In the foot massage parlor, my good friend Mike Brown and I were lying on comfortable recliners, enjoying the services of the female technicians. It was indescribably pleasant. "Someone's invited us for a late-night snack later," Mike said with a smile, looking at his phone. I snapped my fingers. "Tonight we drink until we drop. Ha ha ha, this is the life. The way you used to be was so boring. I'd invite you fishing, you wouldn't go. I'd invite you drinking, you wouldn't come. Inviting you for a foot massage was out of the question," Mike said with a touch of sentimentality. I shook my head with a smile, neither agreeing nor disagreeing. He was actually right. Because my ex-wife had a dream of moving to a bigger house, I was very strict with myself, never spending money unnecessarily. My biggest expense was a few $100s a month on cigarettes. After the foot massage, we headed straight to the food stalls. In the car, Mike said, "Hey, have you heard? Your ex-wife is seeing a construction foreman. Someone with a bit of money." I looked puzzled. Wasn't it a young pretty boy a while ago? She changed so quickly. Because of our daughter, I hadn't blocked her. She had the right to visit our daughter. However, half a year had passed, and she had never come back to see her. As time went on, our daughter stopped asking for her mother. I could feel that without her mother's unreasonable nitpicking, our daughter was now much more lively and cheerful than before. I had previously seen her posts on WeChat, traveling everywhere with a young pretty boy, accompanied by pretentious captions. I simply blocked her and hadn't paid attention since. Seeing that I didn't care, Mike breathed a sigh of relief. "When Emily and you just got divorced, she did get together with a young guy from a spa. I heard he spent a lot of her money, and then somehow they broke up." I joked. "Because she ran out of money, right?" Speaking of this, I felt a pang of pain. It wasn't heartache that my ex-wife was with other men. It was heartache for myself, who had worked so hard to earn money. My ex-wife took at least $400,000. All that money was my hard-earned cash. Fortunately, that wouldn't happen again. No woman would ever take money from my pocket. The money I earn will only be for my daughter and my family. We arrived at the late-night food stalls and found they were all old friends, both men and women, a group of about 10. To my surprise, Sophia, my ex-wife's best friend, was also there. Sophia was of average appearance, even less attractive than my ex-wife. I disliked her intensely and didn't greet her. Unexpectedly, when it was time to eat, Sophia chose to sit next to me. I couldn't very well ask her to move, so I simply didn't speak to her. After a few rounds of drinks, the atmosphere became lively. Then Mike spoke up. "By the way, Sophia, I heard you got divorced." I was a little surprised to hear this and turned to look at her. She met my gaze and smiled freely. "Yeah, I'm divorced. We weren't compatible." Not much to say. All right. Everyone stopped dwelling on it and continued chatting about everything and nothing. I was in high spirits. I hadn't enjoyed such a relaxed occasion in years. I kept drinking one glass after another. Later, I started to feel unsteady. Finally, everyone began to leave. I was slumped on the roadside, vomiting violently. Suddenly, I felt someone patting my back. I turned my drunken gaze and found it was Sophia. "Where are Mike and the others?" I asked, shaking my head. Sophia looked at me with concern. "His wife picked him up. You and I are both alone. I'll take you home." "No need." I refused immediately, although my head was spinning. Sophia's face fell at the rejection, but strangely, she still insisted on calling a taxi for me and took me to my doorstep. I was completely exhausted and couldn't bring myself to push her away, so I acquiesced. "Thank you," I said, then slammed the door shut, locking her outside. Sophia stood there stunned for a moment, then left with a grim expression. Today is my day off. I didn't get up until the sun was high in the sky. After being scolded by my mother, things finally calmed down. My daughter was taken to the amusement park by her grandfather, so I didn't need to worry. Called Mike. "I felt something was off last night," I said. Mike gave an awkward laugh on the other end. "You noticed?" "That's right. Sophia organized the dinner. It seems she's interested in you." "I'm just a matchmaker." I was instantly furious and gave him a good scolding. Mike apologized repeatedly before I calmed down. Of course, I knew I couldn't blame him. He had no idea that Sophia had brainwashed my ex-wife. After hanging up, I wondered what Sophia's intentions were. She was interested in me? I couldn't understand it at all. In her eyes, I was a loser. She had always encouraged my ex-wife to think that way. How could she possibly be interested in me? I was puzzled and called Mike again to ask about Sophia's situation. It turned out that the reason for Sophia's divorce was the same as my ex-wife's. She also disliked her husband for earning too little. But her husband really did earn very little. After being laid off from his company, he started delivering food, working himself to the bone for only $5,000 or $6,000 a month. Sophia was a housewife, and her husband's salary, after paying the mortgage, wasn't even enough for food. Could this woman be after my $16,000 salary? I sneered inwardly. 3 days later, I was just getting off work when Sophia blocked my way. "Would you like to have dinner together?" Sophia was wearing makeup today, and it was obvious that she had dressed up carefully. A short skirt and black stockings added a lot to her look. I scoffed. Are you sure you have the right person? I remember how you and my ex-wife belittled me." Sophia's face flushed. "Ethan, I think you may have misunderstood. I never said anything bad about you. I was just discussing some men's topics with Emily." What a hypocritical woman. She didn't mention names, but every word implied that she was using other men to put me down. Only a fool like my ex-wife would believe her. Fine, what's the harm in having a meal with her? It's a good opportunity to settle some old scores. After I nodded in agreement, Sophia showed a look of joy. In her opinion, a woman pursuing a man was as simple as piercing a thin layer of paper. At the dinner table, we sat opposite each other. I chatted with her casually. "Actually, Ethan, I've always liked you." Finally, Sophia got to the point, her face flushed as she looked at me. I almost laughed out loud. "Oh? What do you like about me?" Sophia's expression became serious, and she spoke sincerely. "I like your sense of responsibility, your responsibility to your family, your selfless devotion. And you're also a key member of the company's technical department, so you're almost never at risk of losing your job. In short, no matter how you look at it, you are an excellent man in the eyes of women." As she spoke, she came over and grabbed my hand. I subtly pulled my hand away and asked with a smile, "Oh, so what are your requirements for being with me?" Sophia was overjoyed. "My requirements are not high. After all, I'm divorced, but my child is not with me, so the bride price is $80,000. After that, just give me $14,000 a month from your salary. You can keep $2,000. My parents are healthy, and I don't have a dad with diabetes. By the way, I will treat your daughter as my own, and I will definitely spend a lot of money on her every month. You can rest assured." I looked at this woman as if I was meeting her for the first time, and she directly refreshed my worldview. Shameless, disgusting, repulsive. Sure enough, as I guessed, she was after my salary. She was planning to use her remaining few resources to exchange for a stable job. How could I let her have her way? I just sent away one person who took me for granted, and now I'm looking for another? I'm not that cheap. I turned hostile. Who was it that said a man who can't even earn tens of thousands a month is no different from trash? Who was it that said a man who only cares about making money and doesn't understand romance or sentimentality is not a qualified man at all? Who was it that said the male protagonists in female-oriented web novels who have daughters are basically useless wimps? It seems like it was all you, right? How did I become an excellent man in your eyes now? Sophia's expression changed constantly, turning from green to white. I stood up and said earnestly, "You and my ex-wife are both so excellent, so beautiful, so refined. Don't focus on a guy like me. Learn from my ex-wife. Men with annual incomes of millions or tens of millions, those are your type. Ask them for $8.88 million as a bride price. That is your standard. Keep going, work hard. I believe you can do it." Before I finished speaking, I turned and left without looking back, leaving Sophia behind, full of shame and anger. Unfortunately, Sophia didn't give up. It seemed she was determined to make me her money back. She pestered me relentlessly, which annoyed me to no end. It wasn't until I publicly berated her in the street that she finally left in shame, giving me some peace for a while. Today, I received an unexpected call. It was from my former mother-in-law. I actually had a good impression of her and my former father-in-law. They were honest and down-to-earth ordinary people. They were also good to my daughter, and even after the divorce, my former mother-in-law often came to see her. "Mom, is something the matter?" I answered the phone. A heavy sigh came from the other end. "Ethan, you're a good kid. It was Emily who wronged you in your marriage. She's too ambitious, and she's bound to fall hard sooner or later." My heart warmed. "Just tell me what's going on. If I can help, I definitely will." I knew her well. She wouldn't have called me unless she was in a difficult situation. There was a long silence on the other end of the line, but she finally spoke. "Emily's father's medical bills. I can't afford them anymore." Hearing this, I couldn't help but fall silent. Given how frugal they were, how could they be out of money? When we got married, I gave them $180,000 as a bride price. They said they wanted to return it, and I was so touched that I told them not to. Unexpectedly, my mother-in-law still insisted on returning $80,000. From that moment on, I had a deep respect for them, which was one of the reasons I was able to tolerate my ex-wife's behavior for so long. Later, when my father-in-law fell ill, I contributed both money and effort, and I didn't let them spend much of their own savings. How could they be out of money? Thinking of this, I was a little shocked because their savings were intended for my father-in-law's kidney transplant. I knew in my heart that something must have happened, and without a doubt my ex-wife was involved. But I didn't ask too many questions. After all, we were two separate families now. "Okay, Mom. I'll transfer $20,000 to you first." "Thank you, Ethan. I'll pay you back," my mother-in-law said, her voice choked with emotion. I told her not to worry, and to take her time. 很抱歉造成了误解。以下是为你接着完成的内容。 Time flew by, and 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Apart from Sophia's occasional appearances, life was smooth. Lin Long mentioned my ex-wife to me once. He said that she wanted to marry the contractor, but he ignored her and dumped her. She then asked her parents for some money and went to the big city. I kept silent and he said no more. This ex-wife was quite ruthless. She emptied her parents' savings and even ignored her sick father. That day I saw Sophia again after work. My head started to ache. It seemed she wouldn't give up until she got her hands on my wallet. "Izhao, are you free tonight?" I looked at her determined face. If I didn't know her true nature, I would have been moved by her perseverance. "Free your mother," I snapped, turned and walked away. Sophia's face darkened, but she stubbornly blocked my way. "Sophia, what are you doing?" A familiar voice came. I turned my head and saw my ex-wife Jane, whom I hadn't seen for a long time. Although she was wearing heavy makeup, her energy was extremely poor, and she looked visibly haggard. When she saw me, her eyes lit up and she rushed towards me. "Husband, are you okay?" Her eyes were burning, and her voice was gentle. I couldn't remember the last time she spoke to me with such an attitude. What was going on? I had a guess in my mind. What husband? Does she not know she's divorced? Sophia interjected, looking at my ex-wife wearily. In her opinion, I had been divorced for almost a year and hadn't looked for another woman. As long as she persisted, she would definitely win me over. My ex-wife's return and her attitude made her feel a strong sense of crisis. "You, Sophia. How could you be with my husband? As for me calling him husband, what's it to you?" My ex-wife looked at her suspiciously. Sophia curled her lips into a smile. "Why can't I be with him? You don't know. Izhao often gets drunk, and I'm the one who takes him home." As she spoke, her eyes frequently darted towards me, as if she was afraid of me exposing her. I was intrigued and remained silent. I wanted to see what kind of sparks these two former best friends could create. Now, hearing Sophia's words, my ex-wife Jane's face turned livid. "Back then, you were the one who constantly criticized my husband in front of me, saying he was no good at this and that, instigating me to divorce. You vicious bitch. Do you know what kind of life I've had after the divorce? I've been ruined by you. Do you know that?" My ex-wife questioned Sophia directly. Sophia sneered. "You're not a 3-year-old child. You believe everything I say and you divorced yourself. How can you blame it on me? I heard that after your divorce you lived a very unrestrained life, keeping a young toy boy, hooking up with rich men, and then going to the big city. And God knows how many men you were with. You came here today looking for Yi Zhao. Could it be that you want to get back together? But you're damaged goods now. He might not even be interested." Sophia's words shot out like a machine gun, exposing my ex-wife's dirty secrets with sharp and mean language. "I'm gonna kill you," my ex-wife shouted out in anger and embarrassment. The next moment she slapped Sophia across the face. "It's all your fault and now you're mocking me. I'm gonna beat you to death." My ex-wife slapped Sophia's face left and right, instantly ruining her makeup. Sophia finally reacted and began to fight back fiercely. In an instant, the two women were wrestling on the street, attracting a crowd of onlookers. As for me, I chose to run away. Seeing my ex-wife's downfall, I felt happy and had a few extra drinks with some snacks in the evening. As I was enjoying myself, there was a knock on the door. My mother opened it, and her face darkened instantly when she saw the visitor. "Mom, hello. I'm here to see you and the child." My ex-wife's voice came, which took away my appetite. My mother was not pleased with her. She had heard about her behavior after the divorce, and the older generation just felt ashamed. However, since she was still the daughter's mother, she couldn't just turn her away. Sean, Mommy is here to see you." My ex-wife came in with nutritional supplements and toys. When she saw me at the dining table, her eyes welled up with tears. I felt no ripple in my heart and remained silent. There were scratches on her face, probably from a fight earlier. My daughter came out of the room and called out "Mom" timidly, acting very distant. My ex-wife saw her daughter, hugged her tightly and started wailing, as if she wanted to cry out all the grievances she had suffered during this time. My daughter was scared, broke free, and called out to her grandmother. My mother couldn't bear to watch, so she took my daughter and walked out. "Yi Zhao, handle things properly," she said before leaving. As the door closed, my ex-wife rushed over and tried to hug me, but I dodged. "Husband, I was really wrong. Husband, I shouldn't have looked down on you before. You were the best person to me. Please give me another chance. I will treat our daughter well, treat you well, and take good care of this family." Jane cried with tears streaming down her face. I looked at her expressionlessly, unmoved. "Jane, why are you doing this? We are both adults. Since we are divorced, we should just live our own lives. Why bother getting entangled?" My ex-wife shook her head frantically and wailed. "No, we can get back together. I really want to remarry you." I sneered. "If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? Did you go out only to find that other men were just sampling you but not buying? Now you realize I'm good. Isn't it too late? Go. I don't think we need to have any contact in the future, except for seeing the child." My words were not sharp. Considering she was the child's mother, I still restrained myself a lot. But for my ex-wife, the phrase sampling but not buying was a humiliation. In an instant, my ex-wife was stunned and speechless, only crying. "Husband, you must be lying to me, right? You gave my mother 10,000 yuan, and you haven't looked for another woman for so long. It means you still have me in your heart. It must be like this. Husband, please. Let's remarry. I will listen to you in everything from now on." It was that bitch Sophia who instilled poisonous thoughts in me. I wasn't like this before. She still didn't want to give up. Looking at my ex-wife's face, which I once loved deeply, I now felt extremely disgusted. "I think you misunderstood. I gave your mother 10,000 yuan purely out of respect for her, and it has nothing to do with you. Go. Take care of your father and help your mother. They need you more." I waved my hand and started to see her off. My ex-wife left dejectedly. For several days I didn't see her. It was not until the news of my father-in-law's death that I saw her. At the funeral, she was dressed in mourning clothes and crying her heart out. I looked at my father-in-law's portrait from a distance, and my heart was filled with mixed feelings. It was at this moment that I heard the whole story from my ex-wife's relatives. Originally, the hospital had informed my mother-in-law that a suitable kidney donor had been matched, but the money was all taken away by my ex-wife, so it ended up being in vain. Coinciding with the deterioration of my father-in-law's condition, it caused other complications and he passed away. So unfilial. She emptied the family's money to go out and have fun, wanted to hook a rich man and become a wealthy wife, but in the end she was cheated. It's really a tragedy. I heard these words from my ex-wife's uncle. I instantly understood what my ex-wife had done with her parents' money. I shook my head speechlessly, thinking that I would never see this woman again. She was too disgusting. My life returned to tranquility. Sophia stopped bothering me, which was a relief. I went to work to earn money, and after work I fished, drank, and spent time with my children. It was easy and comfortable, very pleasant. Suddenly one day, in one of my group chats, Sophia posted a picture which attracted countless comments. I clicked on it, and my face instantly turned dark as ink. In the photo was my ex-wife. Her breasts were half exposed. She wore a short skirt and black stockings, standing in an alley, holding onto a bald old man, smiling radiantly. Everyone in the group was no fool. They instantly understood what was happening. I never expected she would fall so low as to do this kind of work. But Sophia posting the photo in the group was a slap in my face. I knew it was deliberate revenge to embarrass me after I repeatedly rejected her. Even though I no longer had feelings for Jane, she was still my ex-wife. The title was there, and posting this was clearly intentional. My choice was simple. I immediately left the group. The friends in the group noticed and began to criticize Sophia for her inappropriate behavior. Sophia, however, seemed indifferent, even smug, and was eventually kicked out by the group administrator. 3 days later, Sophia blocked my way. Just as I was about to confront her, she shut me up with a single sentence. She no longer had her previous fawning attitude but wore a different kind of smile. Do you know? Your ex-wife was arrested, supposedly for prostitution. I wasn't surprised that my ex-wife was arrested. In a society ruled by law, taking that path would inevitably lead to this. I just didn't expect it to happen so quickly. Seeing her smug face, I mocked. I think you're pretty much the same as her, always trying to sell yourself to me, but I found you disgusting and didn't want you. A single sentence turned her face pale. You. She was panting, completely furious. Seeing her like this, I felt relieved and quickly slipped away. Half a month later, Jane, without any makeup, appeared at the door. Her expression was calm, without the usual anxiety. Seeing me, she also smiled peacefully. She was holding 2 large toy dolls, presumably for our daughter, and 2 cartons of cigarettes, presumably for me. Her grandma took the child out to play, I said, leading her into the house and making her a cup of tea. Thank you. She picked up the teacup, looked at everything familiar in the house, and tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. The atmosphere turned cold. After a long silence, Zhao, I'm sorry. Don't worry, I'm not here to ask you to remarry. I just want to talk to you. Is that okay? Jane said softly. I felt the change in her and nodded. She wiped away her tears and forced a smile. I was so stupid before. Sophia could easily fool me with just a few words. Only now do I realize that she was jealous of me and wanted to ruin me, then take my place. But what's the use of regretting after the divorce? I've been with so many men I can't even count them. None of them were sincere to me. They were all just after my body. Only you were truly in love with me. But I ruined myself, killed my father, ruined my mother, ruined my family. I really hate myself. I'm sorry to the child, to everyone, and most of all to you, Zhao. Can you hit me? Just to vent your anger. I could only remain silent. Here, these are the cigarettes I bought for you. Before you didn't even have money in your pocket to buy a pack. I feel like I was such a beast back then. She handed me 2 cartons of Lacune cigarettes. Looking at her pleading eyes, my heart ultimately softened and I took them. She smiled brightly. Thank you. Finally, she rummaged through her bag and pulled out a stack of money, solemnly handing it to me. "This is the money my mom borrowed from you. I'm returning it now. Thank you for being kind to my mother, even after I hurt you so much. Thank you." I held the 10,000 yuan in my hand, feeling incredibly heavy, because I knew how she earned this money. Perhaps the moment her father died, she woke up. She was determined to pay me back, which is why she took that unspeakable path. "I'm leaving, Yizhao." Jane finally couldn't hold back and hugged me tightly. She cried loudly. The regret in her cries was deep and sorrowful. I didn't hug her back. When she had hugged enough, cried enough, she left. Watching her receding figure, for some reason, I had an ominous premonition. But I didn't want to interfere. It was the path she chose, and she had to walk it even on her knees. Jane killed someone. Lin Long's call came in, delivering the shocking news to me. "Sophia?" I asked. Exactly, it was her. She stabbed her more than 20 times in the street. The scene was terrifying. Lin Long said, still shaken. I closed my eyes, sat on the sofa, my mind racing. I imagined if I had hugged Jane back that day and remarried her, would she have not killed anyone? Eventually, I brushed the thought away. I knew that even if I had known she would kill, I wouldn't have gotten back together with her. Everything is fake. Jane's murder in the street had a terrible impact, and she was sentenced to death, to be executed immediately. After Jane was arrested, her mother fell seriously ill. It was even me that collected her ashes at Longshan Cemetery. I stood with our daughter in front of her tombstone, offering flowers. My daughter, having lost her mother, cried silently. I looked at her black and white photo, my heart like still water. "Jane, I will raise our daughter to adulthood. Rest in peace. I hope that in your next life, you won't have a best friend like Sophia."